she can just like TP to allies through walls.
So I think the way that's going to be used is if we like whip out our like little epic pin here. It's a little bit like Sojourn. Like people were talking about how Sojourn is being played in Overwatch League level. A lot of the things with Sojourn and even with Ashe, it's like, okay, if you're core, if like you've got members of your team here and here and here and here, I have the feeling how you're going to use that if you're Kiriko is you're going to be playing a more aggressive position. So like, let's say that if you're Kiriko in blue here, you're going to be supporting this little guy right here, right? And as this little guy walks forward, you're just not going to care. You're going to go all the way in deep with him. And depending on how fast the animation is, what that means is you can actually support people pretty in deep and then disengage to complete and utter safety all the way across the map. And if the animation is faster and safer than like a Guardian Angel, that's going to be like an instant get out of jail free card. What I don't think was going to happen in most circumstances is I don't think, at least how it should be used, as I don't anticipate it being used the opposite way, where instead of you going in and then out with the ability, right? I don't see it being used as a engage tool, because if you look at her kit, outside of the brief invulnerability, she doesn't have any defensive capabilities. All supports have the passive heal if they don't take damage, but the way I look at this hero right now, even with the wall climb, I think if Kiriko goes in, Kiriko is probably dead. The wall climb might change that a little bit, but I would see it more as taking an advantageous aggressive position early and abusing it, being like, come get me, I dare you, I dare you, I dare you, and then disengaging. So basically just greeting. You get a lot of value early, and then you have that get out of jail free card. I heard a left click does 40 body shot, 120 headshot too. I saw that too, but it's really hard to hit. If the cooldown is short, can you use it to TP to a flanker who's about to engage in a backline? Yeah, you could. So like, let's say here's a thought. It could be like if the cooldown is like 8 seconds or something like that, you could be like Kiriko TP here, go in with your tracer on backline when you have like 4 seconds left, and then disengage right as they start to focus you. So you like TP in, wait 1, 2, 3. Nobody knows the cooldown right now, and then TP back out again when they turn and focus you. So you're able to assist your tracer. And what you could do is you could not only do damage with your tracer, you could be healing your tracer almost in the way that a Harmony Orb does. Maybe, I assume it probably does more healing than Harmony Orb. I would imagine like 45 HPS, 50 HPS, maybe. She doesn't seem like a heal heavy support, was my initial impression. And then damage that, and then disengage out again. The other thing too that the wall climb could do is it could buy you time when you do go in aggressive. So maybe you TP in aggressively, and then you wall climb up to a high ground, and then now you're inaccessible, and you shoot, you support, and then you TP out. So the wall climb might buy you time for you to TP aggressively, but I still don't anticipate, unless the cooldown's really low, this being I would imagine it to be like an 8 or 10 second cooldown, maybe longer. So I don't see it being abused as an engage tool a lot, and more as a get out of jail free card. People are comparing it to Guardian Angel, but it's like it's a completely different ability, because I think Guardian Angel is like fluid and constant, right? Whereas this feels more like a burst of invulnerability, essentially, and then you have to wait. Not invulnerability, but the escape, right? Her heals are okay, so that's where I would guess like a 45 HBS, somewhere in that ballpark. So like weaker than Mercy Beam, weaker than Moira, weaker than an Ana Pocket, but stronger than a Harmony Orb or a Luciara.
Okay? That's what she can do. Now, this is her left click.
I'm out of water.
This is her left click. This is her heal. View it as, I don't know, dude, like, kind of like Zenyatta combined with Moira, if that makes sense. Zenyatta with Moira heal. That's how it feels. Zenyatta with Moira.
He says not how much it does, but how it feels. I imagine it's like you look at somebody like with Zenyatta Orb, but you throw the heal along with them, and the Harmony Orb has a travel time, but obviously this one's going to be a little slower.
But it feels weird. It's like, allegedly, she heals okay-ish.
Yeah, like I said, 40, 50 HPS would be my guess. So it's going to be interesting to see like how this coincides with like I don't think it's an accident that this hero is coming out when they went 5v5, because a hero with this low healing would not have succeeded in 6v6 because yeah, you're like, oh, well, what about Zenyatta? Yeah, but Zenyatta has like significantly immediate like higher damage. This hero's utility is okay, but it feels extremely cooldown reliant, and she doesn't have a lot of consistent damage like Zenyatta. Like I think if this hero had been played or released in 6v6, I don't think it would have been played. I love how like I'm looking at I'm part of the problem, guys. I'm looking at a trailer and I'm telling you that this hero wasn't going to be playable in 6v6. Telling you, man. I'm becoming one with the talking heads, giving like 0 IQ takes with like 4 sentences.
Okay, now hear me out. You've seen these.
You see what
cards.
I mean, though, right?
You've seen these blue cards. So you've seen the yellow cards and the blue cards. Yellow
I'm ashamed of
cards
myself.
mean that you actually like hit the allies that you're healing. Meanwhile, the blue cards mean that you missed the target.
Okay.
Because you see that it has like a travel time. So like once locked, it connects to them, but you can also like miss them and they turn into blue. So over here, she was aiming at Genji. They're yellow because they connect, and they're blue if they won't connect. So in theory, you can throw the healing and you can be like, bro, I know it's gonna connect because I see the yellow, so I'm just gonna do something else because it has like a travel time.
So as soon as it's locked, you can just turn your attention elsewhere. So here's my question. If you don't lock with the blue, you guys see the blue here? Okay. If you don't lock, can these theoretically still heal somebody if somebody accidentally runs into them? Like, let's say this Genji dashes ahead and it runs into it, or like a monkey jumps. Like, I don't know like what the travel time and the travel speed is, because you remember how like the whole Moira orb, like you lead your target with Moira orb and they can kind of follow it. What if you were to like your Kiriko, and you like heal this guy here, and then as this guy walks forward, you can, once you've already locked on him, you lead a couple of heals ahead of him so that like you increase your HPS over the course of the fight. What if that's how it works? I mean, it has to work like that, right? Otherwise, like, it feels like such a waste. Like, oh, yellow or blue, like, I don't know, it just feels like a waste. It feels like that there's like the tech is in there, right? Like you lock, stop, and then lead it. You know? I don't know. I'm not sure.
So this is like programming.
Like, are those blue? Do the blue literally just die as soon as they don't lock? I don't know.
Heal. You see how it goes with Genji there? Missing homing heals.
Because what I'm thinking is like, what if you're like, my Genji Tracer are gonna dive this target, so I'm gonna lock, heal, and then throw healing at this target, because as we engage, this healing will hit the target. I mean, it really depends on travel time, but you guys kind of see what I'm saying, right?
So this is like,
they don't seem super fast. You guys see that looks slow. Like you can dash ahead of that. You can jump ahead of that.
like it gets multiplied.
I heard that she does triple damage to the head. 3 times modifier. That's what I heard.
By a couple. She doesn't then body. Stop.
But what I cannot get answered on, I'm gonna go back a little bit. What I cannot get the answer on is look at her weapon.
Okay.
Do you see 3? Do they go in a spread like that? Or is it like 1, 2, 3? Is it like Genji shurikens? I don't know what it means. Is it 40 per blade that she throws, and then she throws them in a fanning motion? That question has not been answered to me. All right. Come on. That was a blue projectile. So she throws them one at a time. Throws them one at a time, each one doing 40, triple headshot damage, 120. So like actually unbelievably low damage, single target for body shots. You would have to hit 5 in a row to get it squishy. It fires relatively like fast, but you have to remember tank damage would be, I don't know, like it might actually be physically impossible to kill well, it wouldn't be, but it would be, if you hit only body shots in a Roadhog, for example, it would be like almost physically impossible to kill a Roadhog. That's kind of interesting. It really rewards headshots.
And over here, the Gantide, it cleanses. It's a massive Zarya bubble, dude. It's one ability that
so they just gave up on Moira. Poor Moira.
It's one of the ways to counter Ana's nade. It's one of the ways to counter Junker Queen. It feels like she's just like a solution.
Because Moira's cleanse was one of the ideas that they were toying with.
Years. It cleanses, dude. Do you hear me? It cleanses. It's like a big Zarya bubble.
So we're thinking, does it cleanse Discord? Does it cleanse Would be interesting if it cleansed like Junker Queen DOTs as well, like the Junker Queen bleeds. Not that those are that significant. Obviously, anti-nade, it provides invulnerability. I'm trying to think of any other status effects. Would it cleanse CC? Like, would this, like, obviously there's not much CC in Overwatch 2 anyway, but would it cleanse an Earth Shatter stun? Would it cleanse Sleep Dart? Would it cleanse, yeah, Dynamite, Hack. Hack is a pretty big one now, because even though the hack doesn't last as long in terms of the inability to use your abilities, you can still see them through the walls and they take increased damage. So would it cleanse literally everything? I don't know. That's a good question. This for sure could be 8 by Matrix. That would be crazy if it could. Also, it's gonna be tricky to like find the balance of like the size as well, because if like if the hero's here and it hits this here, like let's say anti-nade range, then it's gonna be missed so much. But then if it's too big, then it's gonna like deny the. It's gonna be really, really annoying, right? So like, interesting. It cleanses Shatter and it didn't feel great. Yeah, maybe it should be that it doesn't cleanse CC. That would seem, because like if you think about the CC left in the game, in terms of stuns, like I can agree that the new Doomfist CC in Overwatch 2, at least with the slow and everything, feels kind of poopy. But Earth Shatter, Sleep Dart, I don't think it should cleanse those. I can see those not being cleansable. Oops.
It's like a huge Zarya bubble.
A huge Zarya bubble. But that's the thing. Zarya bubble doesn't cleanse sleeps. That's the kind of, it's just a straight up cleanse. It removes DOTs, it removes nades, but it doesn't stop, it doesn't end CC. That's where I think they should fix that. Denies pulse and stuff. Yeah.
If you're not anti, it also.
Here's a question though. It looks like to me, if you guys think about this, it looks like to me that this is closer to Zarya Bubble than it is Immortality Field. Because it looks like it denies any damage, period. It doesn't provide a morale threshold. It just says you're not doing any damage. So actually, this could be interesting because you're thinking, okay, a Riptire hits you and you're all 1 HP. It just doesn't do damage. It really is like a Zarya Bubble. It's like a complete blocking of any instance of damage or status effects, anything for 3/4 of a second, and then that's it. And it, like I said, it lines up with the Zarya Bubble. Imagine if you had a 10,000 HP Zarya Bubble that lasted 0.8 seconds. That's kind of, I think, what we're having here.
Kills you a little bit. It doesn't give you speed boost or anything. It just cleanses. And there's an additional effect to it. If time the guy...
Like, this seems like a shield. Do you see this? This looks like a shield. Everybody's gotten a shield, right? This looks like everybody has, like, this magical armor, you know? Mei ult freeze, that's probably another one that almost for sure cleanses. I hate Mei, but I can also see how that would be frustrating for Mei as well. Like, a single ability denies the entirety of an ultimate for both Earth Shatter and Mei ult. I don't love that, you know, because the thing is if you can compare it to like Riptire or Blade, yes, this can counter those, but also it takes like a serious amount of skill play, and you could just like wait it out, like he talks about it here, I remember. And same thing with Blade, like you have 1 second of invulnerability, if that, still not going to deny the value of the Blade. But if you drop this and it completely negates Shatter and Blizzard with really no counterplay and just pressing the button, I don't like that. You kind of see what I'm saying, guys? I don't mind the invulnerability. I do mind the purging of the CC because that completely removes a couple of ultimates, and there's no counterplay for that either.
100%, she was the hardest support that I've ever played with.
Interesting.
100%.
I can get that impression though. It feels like this invulnerability thing is like super tricky to get value out of. The timing, the weapon seems like super difficult to get value out of because otherwise you're doing like literal crap damage. The healing requires a little bit of aim. The mobility, it's kind of hard to like, okay, what do you actually do to get value out of that?
It's incredibly
I can see that
properly.
But it is hard to know for sure because she's new. Yeah, that is true.
But getting value out of everything is going to be really hard. She's insane.
There's some dynamic with her design where you look at something like Teleporter and you think that is valuable when people are split in angles. You look at something like her invulnerability shot, and that is more specific group oriented. You look at something with her ultimate, group oriented. You look at something like her wall climb with the range that or with her wall climb, and even maybe her mouse 1 or mouse 2 or whatever her damage is, depending on the range, that's more open source flexibility. Like if it has like Hanzo or Mei Icicle speed, that means more range, more angles, right? So it seems very hybrid in design, where you have a hero that can, like if we were to draw here, it's like spread versus group. Pardon the handwriting. Group, we have well, let's just do spread. Spread, we have the TP, right? TP for sure. Wall climb, like the additional mobility, like encourages her to be played with comps, so that they're going to utilize that. And then M1, we'll just say M1 in general is like the weapon is not like a Brig Flail or a Lucio slow moving projectile or a Moira right click, right? You have a very like something that's closer to like an Ana or a Zenyatta. And then if you go into the group side of things, you have her, let's just say invulnerability, okay, invul, right? Slash cleanse, right? And then her heal, well, I'll say the heal for less. The ult definitely rewards people being grouped up. And then also you have her heal. But I'm going to put a question mark with this one, because this is going to depend on the locking mechanism that they put into it and the range of the heal. If it's hard to hit and it's very slow moving, then you're going to have issues. I'm expecting the heal to be somewhere here. I'm expecting kind of like what he was saying. I don't know if this is what he meant by what he was saying, but I'm expecting it to be not quite Harmony Orb, not quite Heal Orb in Moira, but a fast traveling heal that is tricky at long ranges, but isn't impossible in mid ranges, right? So that being said, if we're talking like 40, 50 HPS numbers, I think that in general is going to be enough to probably make her playable with most compositions. So if we think about like tanks, 40 to 50 HPS is more than enough to support a Doomfist with any support. It's enough to support a Ball, a Sigma, a Zarya, Roadhog, what am I forgetting here? Reinhardt, I'm not so sure. Reinhardt and Diva are the ones I'm not too or Winston, I'm not super sure about if 40, 50 HPS is enough. I could see her being played in dive comps, utilizing and basically playing like an aggressive support that can. It's going to be a question of like how much can she support her Genjis, her Tracers, her DPS. And then assisting with dives by taking aggressive angles, shooting, and then disengaging. I don't see her being... Maybe... I'm trying to think of like, would this fit in like a Ryan Lucio kind of a situation? You know? Is this going to be enough healing for a Reinhardt with Lucio? I'm not sure. And I'm not sure that a Ryan comp, like a Ryan comp is well, maybe we'll utilize some of these things. Then like a spam comp, like I guess that's the other thing with this. I don't see her being played in a spam comp because I do think her damage is simply too low and her ranged utility is really bad. Like if you think about like if you're playing like with a Baptizan or a sniper comp, if you are playing a sniper comp, maybe TPing onto a sniper will be helpful. And you do have a little bit of spam. Like I'd rather play this hero than like a Lucio with a Widow Hanzo, but this is not as useful. This is not as useful, and then this is a question mark as well. You're going to have to use your TP to heal a Widow across the map, and her damage was too low compared to something like a Bap or a Zen, or even an Ana. I think at range, I anticipate. Well, maybe it's not too low. But Zen, Bap definitely are going to be doing more damage. And then Mercy's going to indirectly be able to provide more because she has basically TP on like a 2-second cooldown. The less powerful version of TP, but it covers what we need her for. And then Mercy's ultimate, way more valuable than this ultimate for the type of spam comp that we're thinking about. So I'm thinking we will have to wait and see. But I'm not loving her for full on brawl or full on spam. I am uncertain on dive, and I think that she could be quite good in a lot of hybrid comps. But if you're thinking double sniper, if you're thinking Reaper May, Lucio, not loving her from what we know about her. What about Junker Queen as a Brig replacement? That's a good question. So Junker Queen comp, I mean, is gone. It's gonna be gone. I would be very surprised if it's not. But if, like, let's just for the sake of the argument, if it replaced it, 40, 50 HPS is more than enough for a Junker Queen. TP could be somewhat useful with the angles your DPS are taking. Wall climb could be useful. The ult would definitely be useful. The invulnerability. The funny thing is that she actually would fit really, really, really well in the Junker Queen comp. Like, she counters it, but she also complements it really well. Like the ult, the heal is more than enough. The invulnerability cleanse would be super, super nice for the DOTs and the ticking. Yeah, I don't know. I'm honestly not too sure. I think my one guess, I'm not even saying this for certain, but my one guess is that she's not going to be a hard brawl or hard spam archetype. She might be a really good dive support, and she might be a really good hybrid. But those are my guesses. Those are my guesses. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't know, man. It is... What a strange hero. Like, I was not joking when I said hybrid. Like, oh my gosh. It is... She is so very hybrid. Like, it feels like some of her abilities are, like, completely different than the other abilities. Like, you got... Like I said, like, it was the binary. Like, you look at something like Zenyatta, it's like range. Everything but trance is range. Right? Look at something like Brig, close, everything but armor pack, and even armor pack doesn't have a very long, like, range, right? But this one, it's like completely down the middle.